Well, hello all you Linux beasts. In the last video I was talking about how everyone could probably be just fine using Linux in this day and age, even if you're someone who's like completely new. And I got an interesting comment that I want to make an entire video about. CSJ Pokey says, Linux cracks me up. Well, the hardcore Linux users, if Linux is so fantastic, why is it only on 3% of PCs? As of March 2024, Linux is on 4% of desktop. Yeah, so how do you like that? But why is it not 20? Why is it not 50? Why is it not all of the computers out there? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So before we go all the way into that, let me know what distro you're using and let me know when you started using Linux. I'm curious. Go ahead and put that in the comments. This is also because it's good for the algorithm, because I wanted this video to get out there so we can get a little bit of an audience for this type of video and hopefully make some more. Now, what I've done is I've put together 8 key reasons why I think people just don't use Linux. And I'm going to cover each one of those 8 reasons. I want you to add your own. Let me know what I got wrong or what you disagree with. Before we get into that, let's talk about some websites and some domains. Today's video is brought to you by Porkbun. You know, every now and then someone will message me with something and I'll look at it and be like, oh no, I've sold myself on this. So yes, I did sell myself on Porkbun, and there's a few different reasons. Porkbun is a domain registrar. Right now you can get a .app, .dev, or .foo for just $1. That's it. So if you want to be fancy with your new app or, you know, show off your dev foo, you can do that right here. Also, their regular domains are extremely reasonable, like barely any markup over just the standard wholesale prices. But on top of that, you're also getting this, and this is what sold me: free whois privacy. So when someone tries to look up your domain to see who owns it, they're not going to find your email, your home address, or your phone number. And then you're going to get free SSL certificates, URL forwarding, email forwarding, and they have an easy integration with Cloudflare DNS. There we go, we're going to get this one. If your cart does not automatically update like this one has, you see this one's already updated to 1. If it says like $24 or whatever, click on apply coupon code appdevfoo1. Click on update your cart. It's going to say, oh, you've already applied it, because we have. And then you can get that for just $1 for the first year. Thanks to them for sponsoring. Now let's get back to the matter at hand, shall we? All right, so the first reason why I think people avoid Linux is because it requires effort. And people, have you met people? Have you been outside? Well, that's probably a tough question. Have you gone anywhere? Have you gone to the grocery store? Have you met other humans? Humans don't like to do things, I've learned. I mean, there are some who do like 90% of the work. I feel like a lot of the people watching this channel, we're probably the ones who do a lot of stuff. Like if it's your job, are you the one who does 90% of the work and everyone else like jerks around and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get all this stuff finished. And then they're like, yay, we did it. And you're like, we, who? Who the hell is we? And Linux to a lot of people looks like work. So that's already gonna cut out a lot of people. It's not like instant and it doesn't just work out of the box. I mean, a lot of times it does, but you have to like put it onto a USB thing and install it. So requiring effort, not gonna work. All right, number 2, it's not really there yet when it comes to creative applications. Let's talk about a few different areas. Blender, I haven't tried it myself, but everyone tells me that Blender works pretty well. So 3D work, maybe, but a lot of the other applications that coincide with that, maybe they work, maybe they don't. If you need the Adobe suite because you work at a company that has the Adobe suite, well, not really gonna be a thing. So you have alternatives. A lot of people mention GIMP. I still, and I will die on this hill, I believe that people who continually recommend GIMP are either extremely certain personality types who really work with the interface, or they don't use it and they just have been trained to like mention GIMP every time anyone says Photoshop. I think you're better off with Photopea, Krita, I don't know, just not GIMP. I can't handle the interface. When it comes to video editing, well, we've got Kden Live over here, and that's really the best thing going. There's DaVinci Resolve, and people immediately started saying like, oh, the codecs, there's codec issues. So I thought that was going to be the thing to do, but then I realized, without the codecs, that's going to be rough, especially with, it doesn't have support for AAC audio, and a lot of videos or a lot of cameras and stuff, they shoot AAC audio because it sounds good. So there goes that. So photography, there's Darktable, there's a couple other open source alternatives to Lightroom, but I'm sorry, nothing's on Lightroom's level. So for creatives, and then, don't even get me started on music, because like just the audio on Linux, the latency is much worse than Windows or Mac OS. It just doesn't have the same level of support when it comes to just audio, just straight up audio. And then on top of that, a lot of the DAWs will work, which are the digital audio workstations. A lot of those will work on Linux, but a lot of the plugins, especially like the premium plugins, a lot of those won't work. So that's the other reason. Reason number 3, offices and Microsoft Office. You know, a lot of the world relies on Microsoft Office, and this is what we have over here on Linux. This is the primary thing, LibreOffice, which is a fine Office thing, but you know, a lot of people are like, no, I gotta have the exact thing. I gotta have, there's for some reason, whatever reason it is. So there's answers to everything here, and these things will open up Word documents and Excel documents and all that. They'll open that stuff up. Oh, what's this? I guess this is like Publisher. I don't know. I don't use the Office stuff that much, but there's alternatives. But if you need Office, well, then you're just kind of stuck on Windows or Mac. And that's a lot of the corporate world is going to be stuck that way. And a lot of the corporate world, you know, they have other reasons for being stuck on Windows or Mac OS, mostly Windows. And that brings me to the next thing. And this has to do with a lot of corporations, but it's drivers. So a lot of companies are running some really esoteric or very old hardware, and they just don't have drivers available for Linux. And that's why a lot of the world still runs on like Windows XP or even older stuff like Windows 3.1 or whatever. Like I think it was Southwest Airlines recently when there was that huge bug and everything went down. Well, they were just fine because I think they were using either Windows XP or 2000 or maybe it was Windows 3.1. I don't remember. They were using like some ridiculously old operating system for a lot of their stuff. A lot of the old stuff, they're just not drivers available for Linux. So that's going to limit some people when it comes to stuff that interests us, you know, like not in the corporate world, maybe like gaming and whatever. Well, AMD drivers are great. So you can use your AMD graphics cards right now on Linux. NVIDIA drivers, remember Linus Torvalds with his famous, like, you know, to NVIDIA? Well, okay, NVIDIA is about to release open source drivers or make some of their drivers open source for the RTX series cards. So the older cards, that I think it really sucks because those would be amazing on Linux, like a older, you know, 1080 or whatever. That would be great. But, you know, the newer graphics cards, I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. We're going to get open source drivers, and then we'll finally be able to play games at full speed because right now you've got some, like, there's some drivers available, but they are not the same speed as they are on Windows. So drivers might hold us back a little bit, but I think for a lot of us, that's not going to be too big of a deal. Okay, next up is game modding, and this is something I want to like look into a little bit more. I just haven't had time because I'm working on a little game. So I've been doing that and doing all these videos and stuff. But I want to play around with some game modding on Linux and just see how it is. I'm going to start off with Baldur's Gate 3 and just see how it is to mod that. I'll have to figure out how to get Mod Organizer or Baldur's Gate 3 Mod Manager to work. Mod Organizer, where's my brain? It's on Skyrim and whatever. But then I want to try some of the Elder Scrolls games and who knows what else. You know, see how those work with all the mods. That'll be interesting. But people who are really into game modding right now are kind of limited to Windows. When I bought my computer, it just came with Windows 11, and that's what I use. I don't know about this newfangled start menu, but what can I do? That's a lot of people. This goes right back around into the first thing I mentioned, which was it takes effort. It requires effort. Well, a lot of people get their device or whatever, and whatever it comes with, that's what they're going to do. And then if it stops working, they're going to be like, well, I guess I don't know what's wrong with it. It's kind of clogged up, is what they'll say. Yeah, my device is clogged up. I better get a new one. And so they'll just have multiple devices. They're like, well, I got to get a credit card and get a new device. And this one had Windows 10 and this one's got Windows 11. And that's just what I've got. Came installed. And a lot of people don't even know that you can install another operating system. People are stupid. All right, so yeah, if it doesn't come pre-installed, it's like pulling teeth to get anyone to do anything. So getting them to install an operating system, not a thing. So until like, you know, you can just go and get a computer with Linux on it, that's going to be a huge, huge hurdle. All right, next up, distro choice paralysis. And I think a lot of people who are already Linux users, they also have this problem. This is a disease. I have this disease, and I use Linux here on this computer, you know, whenever I'm goofing off in here, and it's fun. And I've unplugged my hard drive, so all my music's gone. I'll have to connect it to the network later. But yeah, choosing Fedora, I'm sitting here and I'm like, should I have chosen OpenSUSE? Should I have? Or should I have moved to some immutable thing? That's what goes on with a lot of people. And then you're like, Linux Mint. I installed Debian before, and I was like, yay, Debian, stable. really stable on my server, but all the packages are like 600 years old. And I'm like, nah. So I ended up on Fedora. And I love it. It's great. But now I'm like, I don't know. I want the instant backup that comes pre-installed with OpenSUSE. Or maybe I should try something even newer and even more cutting edge. Not Arch. I'm not installing Arch. People in the comments, leave me alone. I don't want to do it. If I'm going to go down the Arch route, I'm going full Gentoo. But I don't think I have time for that. But that's the kind of person I am. I'm like, if I'm going to go down this road, we're going Gentoo. Gentoo's package manager looks amazing. I don't understand it. But when I look at it, I go, I think I want it. I don't know, but I think I want it. Anyway, that's what happens. You look at all this stuff and there's just too many flavors. With Windows, you got like 1 or 2 flavors. Really, it's just you got Windows Home, and then you got Windows Professional, which is Home plus ice cream on top or whatever. And then you got Enterprise, which is Home with ice cream and sprinkles. It's all the same thing. And then you got server, but we're not going to talk about that. It's all the same thing. It doesn't matter. You just if you run a server, you get Windows Server. You really get Linux unless you're crazy. But you get what I'm saying. For someone who is new to this and they're just coming over and they're like, hey, which distro should I install? If they go onto Reddit or onto a forum and they say that, they're going to get 600 people saying 600 different things. You're going to have the one person being like, like install Linux Mint, I'm going to say probably install Fedora or look at OpenSUSE. I don't know, look at those. Then you got the one person in the back who's like, oh, you came from Windows, Zorin OS, install Zorin. They're just going to be screaming Zorin. There's always that one person who's like, a Windows user, you're going to love Zorin. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just send them to something that's kind of like Windows, but let's not give them full training wheels. Plus, Zorin's got too much proprietary stuff. Don't do it. See what we're getting ourselves into right here? I'm getting myself at talking to myself like a crazy person at 4 a.m. This is the way it goes. So there's distro choice paralysis. And I don't know if there's a real solution for that. I don't want there to be fewer distros because that's part of the beauty of it is there's something for everyone. This is not Windows. And you have different distros that specialize in different things, that specialize in gaming, that specialize in cutting edge packages, that specialize in stability, that specialize in being Canonical's thing that they make very soft. And Ubuntu is not as big as it used to be, right? I don't know. I'm going to tell people to install something with Plasma because I think it's very similar, but just different and innovative enough when compared to Windows. So that's what I'm going to do. But I could make an entire video about what do we do about newbies when it comes to distro choice paralysis. What do we do? I don't know the answer to this one. Help. All right, and the last reason, it requires effort. I start and I'm going to end with this one too because I really want to push that into your brain. If you, I think a lot of people, they go out there and they kind of have an opinion of people that's not quite as misanthropic as mine, or not quite as, I don't want to say that I expect people to be extremely stupid. So for me, when I go out there, everyone's guilty until proven innocent, everyone's stupid until proven otherwise. Hopefully they're going to open their mouth and when I'm at the store or whatever and I'm doing something, I'm talking to the person behind the counter, they'll open their mouth and they'll be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, you're interesting. I can see you're not an idiot. So, but that's rare these days. And I mean, I don't think I don't mean that in stupid, whatever. I just mean that they're kind of, people are ignorant of things and they don't want to get too involved in certain things because they have other priorities in life. That's really what it's about. They have other things they want to do, like watch 700 Netflix shows a week. I was trying not to be too insulting and then I did it. I was going to be like, oh, they want to go, they're into kayaking or into, reading fantasy novels, which is cool and all that stuff. But no, I think a lot of people just go to their job. They're tired from their job when they get home. They don't really care as long as they can go and, check their email and do a few basic things. They don't want to do anything that requires too much effort. That's kind of okay. If they don't use Linux, that's fine. If maybe 6% of the desktop users are on Linux, I think it'll be really in a really good place. That's millions of people using all these different distributions. So I think a goal of 10% in the next few years would be realistic, and I'm having a lot of fun with it myself recently. And when it comes to general use, just daily use, it's hard to find things that it doesn't do just fine. Of course, when I'm doing my creative stuff and whatever, it's I got to go back over and hop on Windows. I've still got Windows 10 on my main rig, if you're curious. But and you know, once you really edit Windows, it's pretty tolerable. I mean, I like it quite a bit with retro bar installed on the bottom, which is an alternative taskbar. So anyway, that's where we're going to leave this. Are there other things that you think keep people away from Linux? I'm curious. Like, what are your other things? I know that the comment that started this video was a snarky like jab against like Linux, but I don't think that it ends up being that way. I think it's like, I don't know, I think it's more of a comment on the state of humanity in general. Because yeah, if everyone used Linux, then all the programs would work on Linux and we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. Where now we have to like deal with an operating system that is very antagonistic towards its customer base. I'm talking about Windows. Anyway, so let me know what you think. I'm very curious. I'm sure there'll be some comments down there. And don't forget, we are clearing off my shelves back here behind me. I really like this picture. These are all real pieces of hardware. Anyway, that's enough about that photo shoot. But remember, we have half price on our shirts with Shirtly Not coupon. And then I have half price on the controller and half price on this 3360 based mouse and half price on this water resistant, beverage resistant. It'll resist all your beverages. And it's also got, well, it's got membrane keys. It's the mother membrane, but they feel really good. Trust me, I went and found this keyboard myself to find like the best membrane keys I could find because they're nice and quiet. I really like that. I like membrane keys if they're nice and quiet. Look at that thing. All right, anyway, all that stuff is in the description. Head on over to epicpants.com. And thanks again to Porkbun for sponsoring. Bye, everybody.